I don't know. This one might not be my best one because Kevin didn't do the prayer, and I'm used to Kevin doing the prayer, and I don't know if I can go without that sulky voice, that voice that he's got. That just that baritone voice. It's just like it's so smooth, like the guy was meant to pray. And so, hi everybody. Today it's a little different. I have a lot of little stories, but I I, I was really debating on what to do, and what just kept coming over and over me is the word new. And I'm just going to give you a little history. And I've done this 3 or 4 times, and the story has come out completely different every time. So I don't have any idea which version you're going to get because I got a few notes here, but I'm going to go from just from the heart and tell you what's going on with me and how I got started with New Start. Hey, started with New Start. And I would like to go back to the very beginning and before I ever met Roland. And there was April of 1999. My father passed away, and my divorce was finalized. And as a result of my father passing away and being an investor in a school that I had founded, I got pushed out by some investors. And since I was such a wreck, I lost a lot of money in that deal. It was a very, very difficult month in my life. I would actually say a difficult year. Um, and it was a time when I had to get used to new because everything changed. It was a time I started a new business. It was called Advocacy. A lot when I left the school, a lot of the kids that I had put into this school and been working on for 2 years decided they were going to leave. And so I had to move them back into public school, and there's laws around kids with learning disabilities. So I had to make sure that the laws were adhered to. And so I would go on these meetings, and I really didn't enjoy it. It's kind of boring because the laws are pretty straightforward. And sometimes the school would be kind of jerky about it, but for the most part, if you knew how the laws worked, it was very easy. And um, at this time, um, I had just started going to New Start and had been there a while. And so there was an associate pastor named Brad Mercer. And Brad Mercer could consume data at a rate that I'm pretty sure he could read the entire Bible in about an hour. Like this guy could consume information like you wouldn't believe. It was like some kind of freak show to watch him. And then whenever he would regurgitate it, he could do it with passion and emotion and intensity. Anyway, I hired him. And Brad was amazing. There's not very often that just yesterday, Julie went over and saw Brad's wife, Karen. And we think about she lives just down the street from us, and we think about Brad all the time. But I had a new business. Now, backtracking just a little bit behind that, and somewhere in November of 98, I was informed that my wife didn't want to be with me anymore. And so I had a new start, if you will. I was like, okay, I was pretty hurt. I don't know that I'd ever experienced anything quite like that. It was a real jolt. And I had to start adjusting, and there was this beautiful teacher at my school named Julie, and she was going through a divorce. And so we would start working out at a facility called Larry North Fitness, which I'm positive that Roland knows well because Roland and I worked out there many, 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 many times. We would meet early in the morning, drive straight over there, and we would work out together. And we got to be very close from our exhaustion and working out, and we got to know each other very well. But Julie and I would run on the treadmill and work out, and I'm trying to sort out my life. And this is where Julie decided to sweep me off my feet. She put her sights in on me, and I had no idea what hit me because man, whenever she makes up her mind to do something, it is going to happen. And I was running on a treadmill, and I was talking about a couple of girls that I might go out with or something. She goes, I don't like that. And I said, what are you talking about? And she goes, that would make me jealous. And we had we had been very vulnerable with one another. We had inside jokes. We had run on the treadmill. We'd put these little headphones on. This is back before Bluetooth. We'd plug them into this little machine, and it would have all this different music. And we'd go, put on channel 7. And we'd do it. And then we would laugh about the songs and tell stories while we're on the treadmill working out. And we had just funny stories. And we were just so vulnerable and close in the pain of going through our divorces that it didn't even strike me that this was going to happen. I don't know why. And after that session, I was still kind of in a fog, and she demanded that we drive behind the building. To this day, I'm sure it is the best kiss she's ever had in her life. Like, this kiss was magical, and I think it sealed the deal for us to progress on and on. And so I had a new beginning when I didn't think that I was going to have a beginning. I just thought it was all an end. My dad passed away, and I had Julie right there beside me when my dad passed away. And a new life started between us. She was there holding my hand at a funeral that I could barely even muster a word. I couldn't get up and speak because my dad was the best man at my wedding. He was my best friend. We were just unbelievably close. And to this day, I still get choked up about it. And as we started to progress in our relationship, our new relationship, we had a few problems. And, I got to back up and tell you this. I think I've told you this story before, but Julie came to me with a flyer and said, we need to try this church out at Easter. And I was like, oh my gosh, come on. And I said, okay. And so I went. Now, here's the tricky part. I couldn't find anything I hated. And I looked. I was like, well, and then she goes, let's go back. I think after that service, there was a picnic. I think it was an Easter service or right around Easter or something. So Julie's like, let's go to the picnic. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. A picnic at church? I've already done my time. I've done my hour. I put in the time, and I went in. I was like, all right, I'm putting an end to this whole thing. And so I go, when I pulled up, I immediately saw Roland, and our eyes clicked. I was like, oh, here we go. The game is on. And so I proceeded to be very honest with Roland and told him all my problems that I had with the church, all my problems I had with the dysfunction of the church, all the problems, how I didn't believe in that the way to do this and that. And I was like, well, this will be good. I'm out, And Roland goes, we can work with that. What a jerk. He goes, we can definitely work with that. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I just laid my best info on the line. You're supposed to tell me to hit the bricks. Go. Looked at me straight. He goes, as a matter of fact, Steve, I'm going to get you a couple authors to read. People really believe in what you're saying, and that's kind of a movement. He got real passionate. When Roland gets real passionate, he kind of makes that face, and he's on a roll, and you can't really stop him. He's going. He's locked in, and he was locked in. And I was like, dang it, this is not what I saw coming, but I liked him. Like, you can't help but not like Roland. You're in a conversation with, maybe it's just me, maybe y'all all hate him, I don't know, but I just get a kick out of this guy. And so I was like fighting it. And then I was like, all right, I'll come back next week and see what he has to offer. And then Roland became and the church became a part of my life. And I went to an Episcopal prep school. I did everything to keep the church out of my life. I went to Orchard Hills Baptist Church, Southern Baptist Church, and my mom, I would literally hide my shoes when the bus was pulling up to get me so I wouldn't have to get on that squeaky bus. I did everything possible to avoid church. And now I'm voluntarily going to church. In prep school, I figured out ingenious ways to skip chapel so I wouldn't get in trouble. And here I am just driving to church on a Sunday morning before a Cowboys game. I don't know what's wrong with me. There's something's taken me over. I'm going to miss maybe the first 2 or 3 minutes, the kickoff for beginning. Everything was new. And Julie and I had some new problems, mostly hers, but I had a couple. And Roland said, let me come over and help you. Now, here's something I'm going to tell you. Actually, I just shared this with Roland the other day. Is that if you ever get into counseling with Roland, I'm going to tell you a trick. Don't speak first. Whatever you do not be the first one that speaks, because if you do, you're toast. Because he's going to get into and he's going to change the way you're thinking, and there's nothing you can do about it. You are done. Like you might as well just give in, because he's going to be relentless and he's not going to quit until he 100% gets his way. So I learned that because I spoke first the first couple times because I was going to be a genius and tell how everything should work. And I did not work out my way. So I was like, I'm going to sit back and let Julie speak first. She did. And she got the treatment. And I was like, yes, now I know how to do it. Now, the crazy thing is our issues were the same, just a little different view of it. And I was able to process while Roland was going on, and my heart would soften. And as Julie's heart was softened, both of our hearts would soften. So I did get the benefits of it. I just didn't get the intensity of it, because if you're the one having to change, it's really, really hard. But we became new. We became a new couple every time we did that. We became closer and tighter together. The first retreat that we went on, that's why I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to go to yours. We went to this place in East Texas. And as another one of those things where I was like, come on, and then I was like, okay. And I loved it. We were there, and everybody was there, and I'm sure, as I can hear you guys sharing the experiences you had, God entered my life, and here I am showing up early for a service, and staying till the end. These are not my fortes, and interacting with people. Now, here's something new that a lot of you don't know. I don't mind playing practical jokes at church. And so I don't think this is a thing that happens very often in the church service, but I brought a whole new dynamic to church. And I think it should be shared that if we all get together, understand that jokes are going to occur. But there was me and Brad's children kind of got into this practical joke war. Well, the night before we left, I went up to Walmart and bought sardines. And I put them in bags, all these little different baggies, and I poked little holes in them. And while Brad never locked anything in his life, Brad's front door was open, his van was open. He just didn't believe in locking things, I guess. I don't know. He was just always unlocked. So at night, I went into his van and I opened the hood, and in all the vents, I put these bags of sardines in the car. So whenever he had to drive 2.5 hours back home, the kids who were messing with me got to experience this. So I think I brought something new to the table there. And I can remember Wesley, the oldest boy, he called to tell me, he goes, that's the best joke. He goes, we could turn the air off and suffocate and not have to smell that. Or we could turn the air on and smell nothing but sardines. And they couldn't find it because I put it way inside the vents. And then I put a trap bag right in the middle, and they thought they had discovered it. And like, ha ha. It's like, that's just the one to make you think you beat me. And then they couldn't find it. So all the way home, it was way inside the vents. So as my heart is growing and the love of God has taken over, this is something I'd never really experienced in my life. And Roland and I are getting close. We work out all the time together. We're good. We're doing therapy. And then Roland and I and a bunch of guys from church, we all went to a Jimmy Buffett concert. And that was really fun. Roland's like, we need to bring that energy to the church. Because I don't know if you've ever been to a Jimmy Buffett concert, but this guy could sing Margaritaville for the 9 millionth time and look like it was the first time he ever did it. He had such an energy on the stage. And Cheeseburger in Paradise. I don't know in Australia if y'all know Jimmy Buffett, but I think you should, because he was really about beach music and a lot of fun. And Roland and I, we just got a huge kick out of it. We brought this one guy that was arguably mildly autistic, and and he was dancing to a different beat, but he was having such a good time. And I mean, I love that guy. He was hilarious. He's just dancing around the whole time. And me and Roland got a big kick out of him doing that. New. One time I showed up to church to help build a stage. Now, I don't know. These hands are soft. Look at these hands. Like I got graduate degrees. Look at these hands. Do they look like these are hands of somebody that could build a stage? They are not. However, across the street from our church, they had this migrant, I call it depot, where you could go hire these people for pretty cheap, and they were very skilled, and you could take them to go do whatever you may need to do. A fence repaired, a roof repaired. You could hire. So I went across the street. I go, hang on a second. I went across the street and hired Steve 1, Steve 2, and Steve 3 to come over. And they all looked at me. And I can remember Don looking at me because he was the head of construction. He looked at me. He goes, this is supposed to be a part where we all do it together. I go, Don, I promise you're going to appreciate Steve 1, 2, and 3 more than me. And which at the end, main Steve went to play golf. I don't know if that was the greatest decision, but I did. And when I came back from golf, the stage looked great. And everybody said they could have never done it without Steve 1 and 2 and 3. So I take credit for being very handy in that situation. My relationship with my new wife, and we had this incredible bond with Emmy, with Karen, with Brad, and there were some other new members there, Karin and Krister, and it was a family. Like, I couldn't wait till Sundays to go to church. Steve, started something new on Saturdays, a men's group that we did men's Bible study. I started a men's Bible. You can ask Roland. This is a true story. I came to Roland and said, I think the women have this. I think we need it. And we did it on Saturday mornings. And I couldn't wait for Saturday mornings. I'm now going to church at least twice a week. New. So the power of going to church, the power of allowing, I don't think I even allowed it. I think God forced his way into my life because I don't think I was really open. As a matter of fact, I know I wasn't. And here's Roland. He's, like I said, he's on a mission. He's forcing his way into my life. And I'm not saying no, but I'm always a little paranoid and skeptical. But I'm the one doing this. I'm the one allowing this. I'm the one starting a group. I'm the one doing the funny thing, playing with the kids, which I like kids, but I'm making jokes. I'm doing stuff. I can't wait to get to church. Now, I would hold Roland accountable because sometimes on Sunday on a big Cowboy game, he'd be running over and I'd be standing there doing this, like, wrap it up there, pal. We got to get out of here. And I would leave skid marks. Julie would take her own car because she wanted to talk afterwards. I was like, Cowboy game on at noon and Roland's going to be running over. I know he is. So I'm going to be scooting out. Oh, something new. Roland wore Ugg boots on stage. Now in Texas, Ugg boots in Texas. I don't think you guys understand. I couldn't quit laughing. He's standing up there with these boots on. You know what Ugg boots? I guess most of y'all in Australia. And then now the women wear them here in Texas. And I'm like looking at Roland up there in those Ugg boots, and I still love him. But God, it was funny. And I think that new for me was showing up. New for me was not fighting. New for me wasn't just, no, I'm not going to like that, which this is how I am. I know it seems like I'm not, but I will fight you on anything. Like I try to look at things and try the opposite side to see if it works. There's a lot of things I do, but new for me was, there was a new Steve that wasn't fighting it. I'm not saying I went down easy. I'm just saying it was something new. And I'll tell you the worst new feeling I had is the day that Roland had to go back to Australia. Roland and Emmy and the kids, because I lost my family. I lost that connection, and I struggled to find it. The people that took over New Start after that, in my opinion, weren't there long enough to experience what Roland and Brad had put together, and Emmy. You guys don't understand. Emmy was an integral part of the foundation of New Start to a degree that her voice was magical, and her passion, and Julie would sing too, and their passion. I don't even like church music. As a matter of fact, it's like one of my least favorite things in the world. But when Emmy sang and Julie sang, and they had a guy named Steve that would sing, and we had another guy that Rick that would play the guitar. All these people would get up there. It would pierce my heart. It would pierce it so much. I told Roland maybe we shouldn't do music, and he just thought I was hilarious. I was like, new. And so the message that I want to send out today, I'm not big on messages. It is that sometimes what you think is going to be really bad, or what you think is going to be an inconvenience, or what you think could be something that you're not going to like, maybe do it. Maybe try it, because that's what I did. And now, and I'm going to take credit for this. The reason we're all doing this today was me. I'm telling you, I came up with this idea the minute Roland had to leave. I said, we had Skype. And I said, we could do this. And me and Roland argued. We don't argue very often. We argued. He's like, you can't do this with the bandwidth. And I got too busy. I was like, no, we can do this. And we had it out. And then when he flies back in and says, we're going to do this, I was like, you got to be kidding. We could have done this 20 years ago. But I'm so happy that we have this today. And I have new again. I have New Start. New to me means grace. New to me means respect. New to me means dignity. New to me means honor. And that's how I feel being able to share stories with you. I feel the grace to be able to dig into my soul and be able to share some of the stories that happen. I want to share this one story before I get off, because this one's a funny. We were in men's Bible study, and Don and I had got into a war of practical jokes. And Don, once again, worked construction. He was the head construction guy. He had this big truck, and he would come in. He has this big square jaw, very handsome fellow, kind of big, and he has this big voice. And so Don and I were in this kind of practical joke war. And so Don decides he's going to send me a letter from the IRS that says I owe $20,000 or something like this. And so this letter's mailed to my house. I open this letter and I look at it, and this is cut and paste before it was cut and paste. It was like, it was horribly done. And I'm looking at it like, there's no way the IRS is going to send you this big, horrible thing. Those of you in Australia, IRS is the worst human beings ever. Hope there's nobody on the IRS in our board. If there is, we should eliminate them. But anyway, we'll go from there. The IRS is who collects money, and they're evil, every little bit of it. Anyway, we're not going to go there. And so I'm like reading this thing, and I immediately call Roland. I go, what is this? And he goes, I'm not supposed to talk about this. I go, it's Don, isn't it? And he goes, I'm not going to talk about it. And he like hung up the phone. So I knew it's Don. So I put my plan, and on Saturday morning I go in, and I go and I go, guys, I got something really serious to talk about. I go, I got this letter from the IRS. And so I called the IRS immediately to tell them that I got this letter, and I don't know what this is about. I've got everything should be paid up. Everything should be fine. When the IRS goes, ask for some numbers and codes, and they go, that's not our letter. And then I told the group, I didn't call the IRS. I called the group. I told the group with Don sitting there, and Don's over there going like this. Now he's very worried. I go, they said, send us all the letters so that they can get any kind of information, because they can see who's sending out fraudulent IRS information to them. And so I gladly packaged it all up and I sent it to the IRS. This is what I'm telling the group. I didn't actually do this, guys. And Don is over there going, oh, and he's rocking back and forth like this. And he's rocking there back and forth. And I never said anything that I didn't do it. And I just let Don stew on that. And I may, on Texas license plates, you have numbers, and then in between the numbers and the letters, there's a great big state of Texas right there. I may or may not have put a big rainbow sticker over his Texas thing. So he pulls up in front of the construction team that he has like 5 crews working for in this big truck with a big rainbow over the Texas sticker. A little, hey, Don, And it took him 3 months to find that. And he goes like, I was wondering why the guys kept looking at me funny when I was going on the site. So anyway, I'm not claiming total victory on that. Or maybe I am. I don't know. But new to me is fun. New to me is love. New to me can be pain. But new to me is the grace that God granted me after a divorce, or to find Julie and have her sweep me off my feet. Grace, honor, love. Those are all the words that I think of when I hear new. And I never really thought of new as anything like that. And I got to credit Emmy, Roland, Brad, Karen, Krister, all those, Karin, and some of those people you don't know, people, but these are all the people now. Y'all are the Brads. Y'all are the Kristers. You are, you are the music team. You are like, it's all coming together, and everybody has these quirky personalities, just like we had at the original one. And it's growing. I mean, it almost feels like it's a sitcom at times, because I look at all these people that, you don't know golf, you don't know hockey. I'm probably not going to hang out with you that much, because I don't know, what are we going to talk about, But I look at all you people and I want to get to know you. I will definitely be there in Oregon. I will be there. And Brett, I will see you. I'm going to come in November, Julie, and all you guys and the Queen, hi Queen, everybody, I will be there in November, and I better get to meet everybody. Then I'm going to meet everybody. Brad, I'm going to meet you. We're going to go play golf. Brad, you like to play golf, right? I'm going to go play golf with Brad, And Diane and Jeff, I sit there and watch how hard and how talented you guys and how hard you guys work. And it reminds me of the music team that we had at the original New Start. There are so many parallels with this new. And I love each and every one of you. And it's exciting to see this grow. And here's another new thing. I'm on a board. I have no business being on a board of anything. No. But you can ask anybody on our board. There's nobody that can second emotion like I can. I am so good at second emotion. I have to beat, is it Janet? I have to beat somebody in there to second sometimes, because, I have to have my part. Now, Brett tells us that we're supposed to be able to fight there, but I haven't found anything. I don't know enough about what I'm doing to fight. So I just second motions and hang out. I think I make it a proper quorum, if that's a word. There's a word, Confluence. I don't even know what it means. I even tried looking it up. Still don't know what it means. I'm on an app called Confluence. New. So sometimes new is funny. But I love it. I love my board meetings. I feel important now. And I want to thank all of you. And I'll see y'all again in 6 weeks when I do a new talk.